Okay. Good evening. I will now call to order the October 15th, 2025, both regular and special closed session meetings of the South Pasadena City Council at 6:30 p.m. Acting Chief Deputy City Clerk Perez, please call the roll. Sorry about that.
Councilmember Ferguson. Councilmember Primet.
Here.
Councilmember Cacchiotti.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Rossi. Mayor
She's
Braun.
walking in the door. Yes, I'm here, and Mayor Pro Tem Rossi will be joining us momentarily. Okay, if you would like to make a public comment for either the special or regular closed session meetings, now is the time. Please submit a speaker card to the Acting Chief City Clerk or raise your hand on Zoom.
I have no speakers, Madam Mayor.
No speakers, and anyone on Zoom?
No, Madam Mayor.
Okay. There being no one present.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Before you
Oh,
go into closed session, no problem. So we have a regular closed session agenda, and I'd like to remove item 1. We will not be discussing item 1 off that closed session agenda.
Okay, so item 1 is being, from the closed session agenda, is being deleted and not to be discussed.
Correct.
Okay,
And so you can move to closed session for the remaining items on the regular agenda and for the item on the special closed session agenda.
so we will do that. We will, so be it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, good evening. I will now call to order the October 15th, 2025 regular City Council meeting of the South Pasadena City Council at 7:05 p.m. Acting Chief City Clerk Perez, could you please call the roll?
Councilmember Ferguson. Here. Councilmember Primet.
Here.
Councilmember Cacchiotti.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Rossi.
Here.
Mayor Braun.
Here. Mayor Pro Tem Rossi will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please stand, place your right hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, closed session announcement. City Attorney Diaz, could you please report out from closed session?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. The City Council met in closed session for the regular closed session agenda as amended, and also for the special closed session agenda, and there are no reportable actions.
Okay, thank you. Public comment for general, for non-agenda items. In an effort to better manage the business of the agenda, general public comment will be limited to 30 minutes at the beginning of the agenda. If there are speakers remaining in the queue, they will be heard at the end of the meeting. If you would like to make a general public comment for items not listed on the agenda, please raise your hand on Zoom now or fill out a speaker card if you're in chambers. And Acting Chief City Clerk Perez, do we have any public comment?
Yes, Madam Mayor. I have 6 in person and 1 hand raised on Zoom.
Okay, we'll give them each 3 minutes, and here we go. Okay, the first 3 will be, number 1 will be Yvonne LaRose, 2 will be Colin Campbell, 3 will be Klaus Erzbach. And then Bruno Vetter, Bill Buckley, and Josh Vetta. So first up is Yvonne. And then the Zoom speaker will be after everyone in person.
Good evening. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, but the term domestic violence is often misunderstood. It's not just physical harm in the home. It's one form of a broader pattern, abuse. Abuse can be emotional, financial, psychological, or spiritual. It happens at work, at school, in churches, during medical visits, even while commuting. It affects people of all genders, ages, incomes, and abilities. No community is exempt. 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men have been physically abused by an intimate partner. On a typical day, domestic violence hotlines nationwide receive over 20,000 calls. And yes, men are victims too. LGBT plus individuals face elevated risks. 61% of bisexual women, 54% transgender, and non-binary people, and 37% of bisexual men have experienced intimate partner violence. An average of 24 people per minute are victims of rape, physical violence, or stalking and by an intimate partner in the United States. That's over 12 million people per year. The Violence Against Women Act of 1994 was a national recognition of the severity of these crimes, but awareness must go further. We must recognize that abuse can come from caregivers, roommates, relatives, anyone with access and control. Police are trained to follow specific protocols when responding to DV calls, among the most dangerous calls they face. But community members also have a role to recognize the red flags, to offer support, and to believe the survivors. If you know someone or who needs help, the National Domestic Violence Hotline is available 24/7. Call 800-799-7233 or text 8878. This Thursday, October 16, is Purple Thursday. We're purple to show solidarity with survivors and to call an end for abuse in all its forms. Let's not just raise awareness. Let's raise accountability.
Thank you. Okay, next up is Colin Campbell.
Hello. Hi. So this is my status. I went to the Mars Society, which I joined at USC for a conference. It was really fun. We're talking about colonizing Mars. They showed SpaceX. They had United Nations there as well. They had members from Australia, from Ghana, Africa, all over the world, and they're trying to work together to figure out how we can do it. And technology is what I'm proposing here to build life support on our people so that those that are willing to take the leap of faith to go to Mars would be a nice thing. So I did that. That was really exciting. I also was LA Board of Supervisors yesterday met, and we reviewed the budget. There's a federal shutdown right now. At the end, I proposed them join the Alpha team with Susie Wiles and Judy Chu. I invited as well if they're willing. We can bring in federal budget through that channel, as well as they're having NASA layoffs of 550 people at the end of the month. To mobilize that workforce, there's a lot of people who work at JPL, Caltech that are going to be impacted by that, but those are some really smart, wonderful people. So if we could mobilize them, that would be a nice thing. Also, South Pasadena did do an RFP. My company, which has a cage ID and security clearance and that sort of thing, I will submit it on Friday. So if you guys are interested, I'd love to help out this little town and, try to help out LA after the fire as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Klaus Erzbach.
I'm a longtime resident of South Pasadena, almost 50 years. I live in John Primus District 3. And I've been trying for a long time to get street sweeping on our street. The city, the street sweepers, Athens, they go down the middle of the street because they have no choice because their cars parked on the street. So unless you guys kind of put some kind of posting as to when they're going to street sweep, it's a futile deal. And I mean, I know the drivers personally because they drive down the street, throw their hands up in the air. I've been trying to do this for a number of years now, and I get no response from the city. I understand their challenges with monies and budgets and everything else, but I think you need to put some kind of signage up. And it's not just on my street. I know there are other streets up on the hill that have the same problem, and the drivers are afraid of hitting cars by weaving in and out of the streets. I've tried to call John several times, but unfortunately I don't get much of a return call. The only person in the city that I've had returns is Bassam al-Betwani. And hang on to him, Mayor, because at least he calls back. He may not be able to solve the problem right away, but he's at least attempting to try to solve the problem. So whatever you can do to try to do that, but I've done this before, and I never hear about it again. So, and one other last real quick question was, as far as I've talked to the police about, people don't stop at stop signs anymore. My wife and I walk at night. You take your life in your own hands. They don't even come to a California stop. They just blow through it. Orange Grove and El Centro is one. There's others. You just have to walk out here. If the city wants to earn money, and for the budget, I guarantee you can make a lot of money. Because just walking up here, half a dozen violations, people, they don't stop anymore. So I've talked to the police. They say they're going to monitor it, but again, everything is either short-staffed, as the question is the answer I get in most cases. So anyway, I won't take up much more of your time, but whatever you could do to address those two issues, I think is important. And just return phone calls would be my other suggestion.
Thank you. And I might ask the city manager if there's something we can do about street sweeping. Athens does do our street sweeping, but yeah, I think there's a lot of streets that have cars parked on them, and I don't know how we get that word out.
Yeah, I'll follow up with our Public Works Director and see if maybe even a door hanger a little bit ahead of time, letting people know that we're coming through. So we'll talk about some ideas.
Okay, and then I think Bassam is he traffic transportation? He's in our Public Works Department.
He's transportation. Yeah.
And then about the, yes, and I just want to say we are addressing several traffic complaints, and yes, people are not driving well post-COVID. It's unfortunately, it's widespread, but we're working on it. Next up is Bruno Vetter.
Is this on? Is this on? It is.
Yes.
Okay. Hi, my name's Bruno. I'm with my neighbor, John, and his daughter, Coco. We're from the 1000 and 1100 block of Stratford Ave. And basically, I wanted to come to try to make an argument for it to be easier to have block parties. Basically, block parties are awesome, and the kids love them, and you get to meet your neighbors. It's been a new experience for me. I'm new to South Pasadena as of December. This is not something that I'm familiar with growing up in New Orleans, but it has been huge for me and my family, and it seems like the tradition has been huge for the other families on our block. It would not have really been possible for us without the help of Mr. Cacciati, both in terms of communication and funding. And that is with 20 plus years of block party as an institution on our block to back us up and help people get organized. So I worry that it is difficult for other blocks who might want to have their first block party. It might be somewhat insurmountable to put together $600 plus for a block party. And perfect.
I live on the 1000 block, just above the 1100 block where the block party was held. And I've lived there for 11 years now, and we bought a new house nearby, and we still want to attend our old block party. The story was Jerry Munoz, old firefighter from LA City, lived on our block, and he got annoyed that he would go into fires in LA City, and there would be neighbors who just didn't know each other. And he was like, that's not going to happen on my block. I'm going to have a block party. I want the neighbors to meet each other so they can support each other. God forbid there's an issue. We're all sort of watching each other. It's sort of the special sauce of South Pass, right? Hyper-educated, community-based people who enjoy, each other. It was on a Sunday afternoon from like 3 to 5. It was pretty chill. The traffic's pretty light anyways. And this is my daughter Coco, and I wanted to get a kid's perspective.
I really like block parties because it's a chance to like hang out with your friends, and I have like a lot of kids on my street, and also I just like really like biking around on the street, and I like how it's like blocked off.
How many kids do you think there were?
Like 20. So, yeah.
Yeah. There's nothing like biking in the middle of the street as a kid.
Thank you. And I don't know if that's block parties, I think has been on our list of things to look at in terms of cost.
Permit fees and things, yeah.
Permit fees, yes. So we are looking into that, so thank you. Bill Buckley, SPHS Booster Club Tiger Run. That's you?
One little thing also with the street signs, historically we used to use the old South Pasadena street signs.
He would need to come to the mic
Yeah,
here
you
if you want to allow him to do that.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay.
Is that okay? I'm so
Yeah,
sorry.
because you were 3 and you got 3 minutes, so you.
Okay, I'm so sorry.
Just another minute.
Just an additional comment regarding why the cost is where they are is because one of the bigger costs is street signs, and you can't turn left, you can't turn right, the road's closed. We now have to contract out with a group in Monterey Park. We have to rent the signs, we have to transport them back and forth. Whereas historically, the city of South Pasadena would let us borrow the signs for a small fee so long as we return them. I think there was a deposit. It was all very practical. It's small town stuff. And I think that would be something to look at as a way to lower costs and be pretty easy to pull off.
Thank you so much.
One comment, I think, I saw the barricades and signs they set up. I think we just buy a group for people who want to have block parties, keep it at the library or something like that, and just have them set it up rather than everybody spending $400 to $600 to go to a traffic company to buy them. Just something to look at.
That's a good idea. Lots of great ideas here. So I'm sure our city manager will get back to us on that. Okay, sorry, Bill. And I see you've got your Tiger Run shirt on. So yeah, okay, let's go.
First and foremost, thank you for the opportunity to speak here this evening. It's great to see some fellow walkers and runners over the years. Yes, Bill Buckley, Tiger Run, South Pass High Booster Club, along with our partner, Jose Zavala with Aslan Productions. We're gearing up for the 28th annual Tiger Run. And as we were putting it together, we want to take a moment, and I should stop, PSA, December 6th, register now, sptigerrun.com. We want to take a moment and acknowledge you all, the city, and the participation that you've had. Many people aren't aware that you all have been a co-sponsor of the Tiger Run for probably close to 20 years. The very first run that happened in 1991 by a small group of folks, it's in our records how supportive the police and the city were. Flash forward to 2024, 2025, and the amount of effort that the city, your services, the police department, to help us orchestrate this, we want to express our gratitude. It is important to note that when we think about it, over 90% of the runners come from South Pasadena. The remainder come from an 8-mile radius. Of that 90%, what's amazing is we have some families that's very multi-generation. Grandparent, parent, children, many of which all 3 generations went to South Pass High. And in this one particular family, there's always a medal or 2 amongst all those generations. So it's an amazing opportunity. Echoing off the block party, it's an opportunity for people. They walk, they meet with friends, and it's really become a very community-centric event that the boosters are proud to put on. So in closing, I just want to say thank you. We appreciate it. We appreciate everybody at home who's listening. Please sign up and register. It benefits sports, activities, and teams, from scholarships to equipment for the kids at South Pass High. And we really couldn't do it without the city's support and all the residents here in South Pass. So thank you. Thank you for asking.
Do you mind repeating the date?
I would
of the
love to
website
repeat the date.
For registration.
I would love it. Thank you for asking. It is the first Saturday of the month in December every year. It is Saturday, December 6th, 8 a.m. And please register at sptigerrun.com.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Bill, and thank you to the whole Booster Club for all you do. The Tiger Run is such a great event. I think we might get 100% participation from the city council. I think we did last year. Walk or run. We'll get through it. Thank you very much. Okay, and next, Josh Betta.
Mayor, do you like chess?
Yes.
Woo!
Do.
I want to tell you about this Heilman guy. He plays chess real well with financial management, and he has my great respect. Todd brought you a mid-year report, a budget, and an audit, and left with you the Holy Scriptures. Here's your ACFR report. Todd didn't say things were good or bad. It's a smart thing because he doesn't know enough, and he's not going to make a subjective judgment like that. But he and Nick did say that the city still faces threats financially. It was very shrewd, is the right thing to say. He also said, we got this, and has assembled a first-rate finance department. What he can't do for you is make you curious about where you stand financially. But he has said, look out below. Because when he has a mid-year review next February, there are some big decisions he's going to ask you to make. Checkmate, Todd. Thank you. The council. You're playing chess too, and I admire your game. You adopted a reserves policy a couple months ago, and it closed the doors on hanky-panky. It took money that was hidden here and brought it back into the light. And you've closed the door on making money move by transfers from one place to the other. The toys have been taken off the shelf. Importantly, it eliminated the argument that we're in great financial condition, as says one council member here. It is not an argument because these reserves are gone. Best part, well, equally successful in your chess game, is the budget that's been set aside for environmental and sustainability activities for the next 5 years. It's a $10,000 budget this year, $5,000 next year, $200 in 28, and $0 in 29 and 30. You've closed the door on a very troubled program. And in fact, we don't have an environmental program as we speak. And brought it to ground zero so that when you consider matters having to do with environment, say climate action plan, you're starting from a very clean base. You've just given a checkmate to the community, and I appreciate it a lot. This is controversial. And you've established a place of equilibrium.
Thank you. And I think we have one more on Zoom.
Yes, Angelo Gladding.
Okay, Angelo, are you there?
Can you hear me?
We can.
Hello, Council. Good evening. I just want to mention a couple things about the climate action plan. Stop me if this is the wrong time.
Okay, Angela, I am going to stop you because you have to public comment when we consider that item, which I think is next.
3.
It's coming up, so stay tuned if that's okay with you.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Excuse me. I know it's a little out of order, but I became aware of something that we might want to, I hope it's okay, to call attention to an anniversary of sorts. Our deputy city clerk.
So I think we can't do that. It's not on the agenda. So we're going to have to just, we can celebrate Mark another time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But 100. Oh, sorry.
Okay. And that's it for general non-agenda comments. So we will close the public comment period for items not on the agenda, and we will go on to the informational report on the city's climate action plan. I would like to invite Chamber of, oh, I'm sorry, no. Who is presenting this item?
Alma Medina.
Okay. Lori Wheeler is not presenting this item, but it will be Alma.
It will be I.
Okay, thank you. Alma, could you please provide us with the report?
Will do. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council and community. Thank you for joining us. My name is Alma Medina, Assistant to the City Manager, and tonight I'll be giving you a high-level overview of our Climate Action Plan and a brief update on it. So our Climate Action Plan, or CAP for short, was adopted in December of 2020 as a roadmap for reducing greenhouse gas emissions and promoting our sustainability efforts to the community. This was done in collaboration between the NREC, city staff, and consultants that were hired. The last update the City Council received was in September of 2022, so tonight you'll get some key progress updates along with we're seeking guidance for some next steps. Okay? All right. So the CAP was organized into 7 plays or focus areas, which were then followed or supported by moves or specific actions that were intended to provide results for these specific plays or focus areas. Those areas were cornerstone, energy, transportation, waste and wastewater, solid waste, carbon sequestration, and municipal operations. We have made some steady progress towards these focus areas. We've continued our partnership with the CPA, implemented SB 1383 diversion programs throughout the city. We've also maintained our Tree City USA designation. We've also applied some facility upgrades, which include light energy efficiency when feasible. We've also started transitioning some of our fleet to lower emission or hybrid vehicles, as well as creating a sustainability division focused on these efforts. We have been able to go through this or have this progress through the financial support of some partnerships, as well as some grant funding. The CAP was actually funded through a SCAG grant, and the Tesla fleet lease was supported by the MSRC grant that we received. And we continue to work with SCE for the Charge Ready program to install our electric vehicle charging stations, as well as our rebate program for the electric equipment. One of the funding sources that's been discussed recently in support or in use of for the CAP is the AB 2766 Motor Subvention Fund. This particular fund is charged at vehicle registration and then redistributed to cities for projects that support lower emissions, specifically due to vehicles. Our current balance stands at a little bit over $93,000, and the eligible uses for this fund include clean vehicle purchases, land use strategies, public transportation projects, public education, and other projects that help and lower the emissions. So moving forward, we're seeking guidance in terms of how to advance in our climate action plan from the City Council. With that, I'd like to take any questions and happy to hear any direction from the council.
So before we start discussion, I just want to know if there's any questions of staff, and then we'll take public comment, and then we'll have discussion. Anybody have questions for staff? Good. Okay, you have a question?
Yeah, I just, thus far, since this has been in place, do we have a number for how much this is, what the cost that we've incurred as far as the implementation of this plan?
We don't have a true total of cost, but in terms of the funding we've received, it's what we've laid on the presentation. Yeah. So okay. The grant for the CAP, the rebate program that we're working with, as well as the grant for the Tesla fleet. Okay. But we can definitely look into it and give you a number for that.
Okay, got you. Thank you. Mm-hmm. That's all I have for now.
Okay, Fran. Okay.
Quick question. How are emission levels tested?
That's actually something we haven't tested just yet, but I believe our Public Works Director can help us out with that.
No, because we have a baseline and we have some goals for our emissions. So I just was curious,
We do. We have specific goals set out within the 7 plays, and Mark, if you put back the presentation, I've included that additional 2 slides with some further information for that.
There we go.
Right, so I know how we have the goals. I guess asking the question of how do we test to see that we're meeting those goals?
I don't think we can answer that tonight, and
Okay.
I'm not sure we have been doing those tests. So
Is there a testing, okay, so not us, how do other people, like how is it tested, even the baseline to know that we're working towards?
we would need to involve people with more of an environmental science background to answer that question more accurately. That's just really not our wheelhouse right now.
Okay, got it.
So.
Okay, thank you.
Michael, did you have a question?
Oh, Mayor, just really quick. So, and I like Amari's question about checking the cost of the city. As you do that, I'd also like you to also check how many tens of thousands of dollars the city is saving because you've gone from polluting gas vehicles to battery-powered vehicles that are actually not using gas, not using oil, not going for oil changes, probably not brake changes for 190,000 miles like my Prius just did. So I'd like to also see how many tens of thousands of dollars. We'll probably have a presentation in the next couple of months from the police fleet, but how much we're saving actually versus whatever the cost. And exactly with the police you mentioned, thank you for finding that, we got $500,000 from AQMD MSRC. And the SCE Charge Ready program, which I sent the email to the then city manager, Sean Joyce, and Armony, to incorporate those programs, that's all Edison money. We didn't pay a penny. And the CPA project, solar, battery storage, energy storage will be going on next year. That's all CPA, zero from the city. So just incorporate that to how much tens
We'll
of
include
thousands.
that in our analysis.
Thanks.
No problem.
Okay, thank you. If there's no further questions of staff, let's go to public comment and do we have any in-person? Let's start with Angelo since we cut him off. And is there anybody else on Zoom besides Angelo?
No one else on Zoom. I just have 2 in-person speakers.
Okay, so let's start with Angelo on Zoom and then we'll take the 2 in person.
Hello, council. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Thank you. I just want to focus my comments on the tree part of the climate action plan. The one bullet point for urban forestry says the city remains a Tree City USA community and has continued tree planting and maintenance programs that expand canopy coverage, mitigate urban heat, and sequester carbon. I just wanted to drill over the 4 requirements for Tree City USA. The first 2, you need to have one person responsible for the care of public trees, at least one person, or a board, or something more sophisticated, but the bare minimum is one person responsible for public trees. And the second one is you need an ordinance that states that. So the first half can be taken care of by an ordinance that says the director of public works can do as he pleases. It's a very low bar. The third requirement is $2 per capita spent on public trees. That would be what, 50,000 for us, and I'm sure we spend 10 times that just trimming the street trees. So that item is met without any additional tree planting or canopy expansion or anything like that. And then the fourth requirement is that there is an Arbor Day observation. And I believe, Madam Mayor, you did that already this year. And that's, again, a simple thing to do that doesn't exactly translate to expanded canopy coverage or any of the other nuances of an urban forestry program. And I've heard the Tree City USA brought up time and time and time and time and time again. And it sounds like a good catch-all for doing the right thing, but I think it's a bit misleading. Just quickly quote the Climate Action Plan. It was conservatively assumed that the city of South Pasadena has the capacity to increase the city's tree inventory by 5% in 2030. That would be 550 additional trees on top of 11,000. That would be 11,500. I got a PDF public records response that shows from February 10,000, scrolling to it, 10,200 trees. So I don't know exactly what I got in this PDF, but I'd like to see some accurate numbers about the trees in our city. I believe that was the inspiration for asking about the climate action plan, our last meeting when we were
yeah.
talking about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Angelo. Okay. Next is John. And then it will be Josh Joseph Betta.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay, very good. EV vehicles reduces air pollution. EV vehicles reduce air pollution, which lowers concentration of harmful pollutants like nitrogen oxide, particulate matters that can trigger asthma attacks, cause other respiratory and cardiovascular problems. Electric vehicles also, in studies found in California, the more EV vehicles that are on the street, the less asthma-related emergency room visits decrease. EV vehicles are significantly quieter than traditional cars, which can lead to reduction in stress and annoyance for vulnerable drivers. Less noise pollution, quieter streets contribute to a more peaceful environment, which can benefit people with conditions exaggerated by noise, such as hypertension, sleep disturbance, and cardiovascular issues. Migration of urban heat effects, EVs produce less exhaust heat, which can lower the temperature and reduce heat-related health risks, especially for children and elderly. And recently, in an Atlanta First investigation done by Atlanta First News, they found out EV vehicles currently can now outrun the fastest gas-powered police vehicle / ICE vehicle. In Atlanta, police were chasing a suspected shooter in a Tesla. If you watch the video, the Tesla basically took off and outran the vehicle. If it wasn't for their helicopter and for the vehicle losing control, those shooters would have gone away. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And, Josh Joseph Betta.
Todd Heilman's also a philosopher. He knows that hell is a place with absence of reason. 25 years, Mr. Cacciati has pursued environmental program, but as the city manager has just said, we have not one scientific measurement. I'm witnessing environmental derangement syndrome, and I have for many years, where intimidation has been posed at our staff. We have an AQMD relationship Mr. Cacciati has that may be inappropriate and should be subject to investigation. Our public has been deceived on these things, and this is a public that is very demanding on this program. You become like the uncle that we don't want to have at Thanksgiving dinner because they're going to ruin the whole conversation. Todd's a philosopher, though. He's provided you a recommendation that says, provide him direction. And it's brilliant. He's not getting in the middle of a political problem. He knows that Michael Cacciati has broke it and that the council now owns it. The entire 5-person council now owns this tonight. He knows that the city council is going to have to police itself in these matters. He's not going to do it with a council member. That is not his job. The council needs to police itself in Mr. Cacciati. And I say this with as much respect as I can have on this topic. He's employed the theory of Sun Tzu. He's ended the war on this toxicity before it started. You have a program that doesn't exist. You're starting from ground zero. Elma Martinez is one of my favorite heroes in the city because she's taken on all these difficult matters, and there have been several before it. and this is a difficult matter. There's a choice our council member gets to make here. Join the team. Get into a group effort of 5 people. Or go out and rile up the base. Bring them here to council members and have them deceived and tribal. And then, Michael, run for re-election because you're going to win.
Thank you. That's the end of public comment?
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Close public comment on this item, and now city managers asked for some direction. So I just wonder if there's any discussion here.
I'll just kick off. So I think there are 3 new council members since we approved that climate action plan back. Just Michael and I were the only council members for that. So I think it's appropriate that it's here, and I think it's appropriate for us all as a council to listen to the new council members and to take a look at what elements and directions we want to have coming out of this. I don't think it should be a really extensive discussion because there's a lot of elements to this and there's a lot of discussion out there. But I do think the 3 new council members should sort of share their thoughts.
Omari, I think you asked about this. Do you want to wait or do you want to go next?
I would like to hear from Michael also.
Okay. Sheila or Michael, do you have comments or do you have any discussion?
No, I'm glad you brought it forth. I mean, I want to hear what your thoughts are. I agree with John. This was a totally different council 5 or 6 years ago. I think we should actually, I don't want a big discussion in council right now because it could take hours, do it properly. But Omar, I'm glad you brought it forward. I mean, it's even timely because next month is the United Nations Climate Conference, which happens every year in Brazil. Moved to Brazil this year. But I think we should maybe remand it back to the natural resources, which had looked at it before and gave us recommendations, and come back to us and vote on it again. I think you're right. I want to hear what you guys have to say. It might change my opinion. I don't know. You know, a lot of stuff in here is good. And actually, before Alma came even, I was looking at the list of our accomplishments compared to the state you had on one of your slides. We have probably 20 more accomplishments that we didn't put on there that we've done. And actually, I like the climate action plan, but when you look at most cities can't keep up with this. I know Pasadena, other cities, you're right, they have a whole list. And I remember when we first did it after 5 years, a lot of the public said, and the environmental community said, what are you doing? It's sitting on a shelf because there's so much in there. We got the grant. I really didn't participate in that much. It was staff working hard with the environmental community, and they put it together. Because I would have added a lot more things we did that weren't in there. But it's important to come back. But I'd like to have natural resources, spend some time. That's what we have. The Finance Commission look at our finances, and they can look at that and then come back to us. And I want to hear you before I make a decision, because we're doing a lot of this stuff already.
Yeah. Okay, great. Sheila?
So, I think the biggest challenge with the climate action plan is similar to you can make criticisms of the general plan where we put in the Vision Zero, but we don't actually have a Vision Zero plan, is that it has a lot of good ideas and it has a lot of good goals that are tied with state law with the goal of trying to reduce the emissions. But what it doesn't really have is the KPIs, the key performance indicators, so that we can be tracking what we're doing specifically and what kind of impact that we're seeing. And I think that goes, Angelo called in talking about the tree coverage, and actually when I was looking at the tree policy, that was something that got called out, which was we have a goal of increasing our canopy, but we don't actually say what our baseline was or what that goal is. And so having things that are actually quantifiable and measurable. So, tree people, I went onto the tree people and found out that we have 26.4% tree coverage right now. And, putting in something, a KPI would be saying this is our baseline and this is the goal that we want to try to make 4% by 2030 or whatever percent we think is feasible, and then say, what does that mean in terms of the number of trees that we want to see planted in the next certain amount, and that will come part of the urban forestry management plan, so it's not something that we put it in and automatically happens. But I think that's probably where I see the next steps. I wouldn't even say the weakness of the plan, but it's the next step is bringing in a set of KPIs, not too many, but about probably for each of the different categories, so that we can start tracking what we're doing and then seeing like what kind of difference it's making. And then, part of that would also probably come in the financial piece, so we're tracking that piece to it too, so that we're, able to start looking at pricing decisions and cost decisions. So I think that would be my biggest thing, is that would be the next step.
And I'll just give you my 30,000-foot level, right, is that I think, first of all, and I know it's clear we got a grant to put this plan together, but I think a 400-page plan is doomed to failure. Because as we all know, like, we don't really even know what's in here, and we're not even tracking it, et cetera. So if we just, I think it needs to be looked at. The other thing, and I totally agree with the tree canopy, and we're working on that tree ordinance and kind of all those issues. But, the state is mandating some pretty heavy-duty density in this city, and there's a lot of development that's just going to be allowed by right. So I think which has an impact on things like wastewater and carbon footprint and trees and that kind of thing. And there's things that we don't even have control over anymore because the state's taken that away from us. So I think even though this is only was drafted in 2020 and then re-looked at in 2022, I think a lot has changed given all the state mandates. Yeah. So my own feeling would be just to sort of have maybe, and I hear you, Michael, on NREC, but I think it might make sense to maybe put together a 2 council member ad hoc to kind of take a look at this and just kind of figure out what are we trying to accomplish that we know we can do and make sense. And given sort of what we know has come down the pike, and it continues to come down the pike from Sacramento, and something that is manageable by the staff. We don't have the money to hire environmental specialists on staff. So I think it's got to be something practical and reasonable. But I think that maybe the 2 of us, and maybe if we have an ad hoc, that can eventually go back to NREC, but those are my thoughts. And now the stage is yours.
As the person who gets to vote first every time, it's good to sometimes hear other people's thoughts before I speak. I rarely get that opportunity. So I did request for this to come back, and part of the reason why is because we're grappling with things. We're making financial decisions about how we should proceed and how we should prioritize things. And so understanding what these goals are is great, because I think it was very ambitious and very wide-reaching. That said, the baselines weren't clearly defined, and I think that, to come to your point, Janet, like having some type of subcommittee to tackle this, I think would be a great next step. I think when it comes down to a lot of this, there's core functionality that we need within the city to be able to execute this. Some of that has to do with the way we go about like asset management, et cetera. And I think without those things in place, there isn't really a cost-effective way to execute a lot of what we're aiming to do here. And so I think that what we should do is take a hard look at it. It should be distilled somewhat to what's actually within the capability of what we have, and then we can align it with changes in state law, right? Like as far as requirements for energy for vehicles, vehicle propulsion method, if you will, as well as being able to make this align with the changes we're making within our internal systems. So that way the 2 of those can kind of work hand in hand. And so look at it more like an ongoing program within our city and less as a document that we take the dust off every 4 years. So that's kind of my take on where I see it.
So I guess I would ask if people here think that having like a 2 council member subcommittee to take another look at this and bring something back. Omari, and since this was, I'm nominating you.
I'm willing to do it, sure.
Can I just be heard on the ad hoc? That can be a really helpful tool, but an ad hoc that's going to recommend policy is going to be, I believe, a Brown Act committee. Is that correct?
Or maybe I'm using the wrong terminologies. I'm thinking 2 council members.
And that would be an ad hoc, not a subcommittee.
Okay, so it would be a subcommittee. It would not be a Brown Act. It wouldn't have public meetings.
It would be an ad hoc. I I know you guys use different terms. It'd be an ad hoc, which is less than a quorum of the council and not a Brown Act body.
Got it, okay. I think that would be fine, as long as it's not a policy
Yes, yes,
making
yes. No,
or
I think-
recommending body. And I think it needs more definition.
Okay.
Because really what I'd like to see is what other cities are doing, what KPIs are coming down as far as recommendations, and whether or not we should have a consultant modify the plan as opposed to trying to do it ourselves.
Yeah.
Because I do think there's a lot of, there's constant change in policy, and it's not just a political thing. There's actually, good policy that needs to be looked at and updated. And an ad hoc would be a great forward vehicle to look at that, as long as we have it focused on what are these elements, what is changing in those elements in other cities, and here's some recommendations.
I think that's a great idea, John. So I think that's right. And I think they're going to have to work with Todd and staff just to kind of even focus on what they're going to bring back, because So if, given all that, and I thank you for being succinct about what that ad hoc is going to do, Omari and Sheila?
Yeah, good.
You like how I didn't nominate myself? I think, especially given that I think both John and Michael have said that there's 3 new council members, and so getting, I think, some of the new council members involved, I think that's and I get to go home and have coffee. So,
A couple comments?
yes, Michael.
I support, I like the 2-part ad hoc committee. Great idea, 2 new council members, fresh eyes. I would also like to go back to NREC, though. That's their purpose, to give us some recommendations, just to see their purpose too. But I definitely want to hear you cut it down. I deliberately didn't participate in this because we had the grant. I was doing other things, and it came back good. But you're right. It was just too much. It sat on the shelf, Janet, and I just watched because they mentioned in here our Ags and Green Zone City, but they incorporated none of the stuff. And I called Mr. Mabe today and said, I know you just got back from Washington. I want to know, I know you gave us an environmental landscape footprint, what Omari's asking for. And so I got the one he sent to our city a couple of years ago. And here's what it says. It's an official document, but I'll just read it to you. This is the dashboard, total emissions avoided per year. 31 tons a year just by converting from gas-powered commercial lawn equipment to battery-powered, our baseball fields, our soccer fields, our golf course, et cetera. And that included ozone-forming emissions, fine particulate matter, carbon monoxide, and carbon dioxide. So there are key performance indicators, and I know with our police, I know the chief and lieutenant, deputy chief are working on you've asked for the police vehicles, I know that's coming. They're going to provide us, through documentation, how much we've reduced emissions there too. So totally supportive, I like the way we're going. But again, we've got some of the numbers now. And the other last comment, when you do this, you address climate change. If you don't believe in it, whatever your thoughts are, whether we need to address it or not, as you address that issue, there's multiple co-benefits. That's why I bring up, there is a cost, Omari's right, but there's a big benefit. So the other benefits are the reduction of air pollution. So people aren't going to the hospital, kids aren't having asthma attacks, buying medication. There's noise reduction. There's no more large leaf blowers on the weekends. There's a financial benefit. We're saving money. Last comment, I was at LA Unified a month ago where we converted the entire Unified School District, hundreds of schools, to electric equipment. They're saving several $1 million a year on cost. Let's see how much we're saving our taxpayers on tax dollars by going electric. Thank you, Mayor.
If I can circle back a little bit to just the functional side of what we talked about, this ad hoc, there sounds like there was some interest to get some voice from the NREC in there. Could we just add, could we ask if they want to add some?
No, we cannot do that.
You can't,
We would have to agendize that, and
Okay.
that would be a different
But
avenue.
what we could do is if we put together something preliminary and then take it to NREC to present it to NREC and get their feedback on it. So we're going to, or taking it as a discussion item to them.
The ad hoc would be an ad hoc to the city council.
Yeah, I'd like to have it come back here.
I'm sorry?
I'd like to have it come back here before.
Oh,
it
yeah,
goes
yeah.
back.
Before
Can we do an additional, have also NREC give us recommendations also?
Sure.
Because that's their purpose.
Sure.
NREC can put this on their agenda
Yeah.
and certainly look at that.
Yeah.
But the council portion of this should stay with the council.
Okay.
And not include another body.
Right, I agree.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good. Okay,
Okay, that's clears me up.
okay, so.
I'll move that item.
No, there's no need to move, sorry. There's no need to move, take action on the ad hoc. It forms granularly out of the discussion. It's 2 members of the council. It has the defined scope, which was reiterated or stated by Councilmember Primuth. It will come back to the council after its work gets done. And is everybody clear on this, on the scope? Okay.
Yeah, yes.
Great.
Okay. City manager, is that do you need more direction than that?
No, I think that's a start. Really, what I would be looking for as well is what does the council want reported on? The last time I had a document like this in the city, I had an environmental sciences division of 3 PhDs. So I think they look great, but I think what's important is what is meaningful to this council, because you've got a lot of things to be reported on, and we do not have that kind of horsepower on staff, and so I think that's just a practical issue that I need feedback from you on.
Electric vehicle priorities. Code changes. That sort of thing. These are all elements of the plan that are scheduled and set as council policies because of the 2021 plan. And I think if there's tweaks on that, and I think this is what the ad hoc should look at, those are the 2 that come to mind: electric vehicle priorities and code changes.
Well, I mean, I think there were 7 categories in the plan.
Right.
And I think each one actually has some level of importance. Part of it is what can we measure? And I think I'd probably start there. So even like under sewage waste materials. So that's something Athens is going to start doing. And it'll be about getting those reports back, because I'm not sure if everybody knows this, but your trash can is going to have a QR code on it. Because you have a baseline of what happened in 2016. They should have a baseline now of their landfill diversion. And that's all stuff that counts for the city. And then as our 3-stream process goes into place, then we'll be looking at how we're reducing what's being diverted to the landfill. So things like that. So I think
Better waste management processes?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just trying to
Yeah. So
accumulate the
no.
list
So I
for
have
the
the
city
7.
manager.
We've got 7 categories in there.
Right.
I think I just have like a preliminary KPIs for them, and then kind of take a look at what of these are actually doable, and then
Yes.
that's the piece. So
Yes.
say what KPIs that pull together some KPIs for each of those categories. What's actually something that we can do without it being a huge heavy lift for us, but it's something we could be creating a dashboard for even. And measuring, and then making some policy decisions based off of the information that we have.
So my general feeling at, again, 30,000-foot level is, let's not put restrictions on ourselves that we don't even know exist and that we can't even meet.
Right.
Right? So, I think you can have a policy that, we generally are trying to do X, Y, and Z. But anyway, that's just my thoughts. I leave it to the ad hoc committee.
Yeah, there are some things in our current plan that are in alignment with state law. So with the AB and SB 32, and those are the goals that they've set. The big question is, what is it that we can measure, and what is it that we can start meeting based off of those measurements that we have? What are the additional goals or whatnot that we can put in? What are the ones that are kind of more lofty and harder to assess? Does that make sense?
It does, and there's a lot of things that aren't in this plan, like our conversion over for electrical lawn equipment. That's not even in a plan. We should get credit for reducing 50 tons a year. And in 2005, we had not the first, Austin, Texas did, but the first low-emission vehicle purchase policy in the nation. So there's things we've done already in addition to this. I had no participation. I wish I did, but it was just too much. But we were still doing many other things in addition to this.
Yeah. Okay. I think we probably,
I think
does everybody have a
I think we have a direction.
Yep.
And Todd, you're good with the
We'll work
direction?
city staff to make sure that it's in alignment.
Okay. Great discussion. Let's move along to changes to the agenda, reordering, additions, or deletions to the agenda. Does anybody have anything they want to delete, add, or reorder?
Mayor, I wanted to move the climate action plan discussion to the end of the meeting.
Too late.
Comedian.
Okay. Yes. Well, my changes are let's not consider anything tonight and go home. No. I'm kidding. Okay, given none, consent calendar. Items listed under the consent calendar are considered by the city manager to be routine in nature and will be enacted by one motion unless a public comment has been received or council member requests otherwise, in which case the item will be removed for separate consideration. Any motion relating to an ordinance or a resolution shall also waive the reading of the ordinance or resolution and include its introduction or adoption as appropriate. Do we have any member of the public wishing to speak on a consent calendar item?
Yes, Madam Mayor. I have one comment for item 13, and I have one hand raised.
Do you know what item the hand raise is on?
I don't. I could unmute and ask.
Well, why don't we do that?
Mr. Alrickson, what item is it regarding?
8, 9, and 10.
Okay.
Items 8, 9, and 10, and item 13. Okay, does this, any council member have anything they want to pull from the consent?
Item 9.
Okay, that's already been pulled. 8, 9, 10, and 13. Anything else?
Madam Chair, I'll move the remainder of the consent calendar, items 5, 6, 7, 11, 12, 14.
I'll second that motion.
I would just note there's an ad doc for item 6.
Thank you,
amended.
Mark.
As amended.
As amended, yes. Item 6, as amended by the ad doc.
Councilmember Ferguson?
Yes.
Councilmember Primmett?
Yes.
Councilmember Caccioti?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Rossi?
Yes.
Mayor Braun?
Yes. Okay, let's go to item number 8, and we have a public comment. So, do we need I guess, do we get the public comment first? You can. Okay. Josh, do you want to, is he unmuted? Mr.
Yeah,
Bell?
I am now unmuted.
Okay. All right,
So
go
this
ahead.
this is the first of many abuses of the Mills Act. Now, if I heard Josh Beto right, the city doesn't have any reserves. And now we are considering giving massive tax breaks to rich people at the expense of the city of South Pasadena, the South Pasadena Unified School District, and our community college and water boards. Now, I know you guys don't, most of you guys don't have kids in the schools, but the South Pasadena Unified School District is having a major financial difficulties. They just sent out an email last week talking about how it's flashing yellow for them. Now, this building was purchased in 2021. It's a commercial building. Immediately, they started working on Mills Act application. When they purchased this building, they are, and the things they're asking for is what normal people would do if they purchased a commercial building. And they're asking us to pay for it. They're asking for a brand new roof. They're asking for a brand new HVAC system. They're asking for the city to replace all of their windows and asking for the city to pay for them to completely renovate the back of their commercial property. Now, this is stuff that they should have factored into their spreadsheets when they were deciding whether or not to buy this building. Instead, they're asking us and they're asking you guys to make the school district and the water boards and the community colleges pay for it. I mean, this is a gross misuse of South Pasadena's money. And I'm sure that if you ask the taxpayers of South Pasadena that, hey, should we be donating money to investors in a local restaurant so they can make a great restaurant? What's to stop every other restaurant with a 80-year-old building in South Pasadena to apply for a Mills Act and ask for the exact same things? Because literally every single one of the things they are asking for, every other restaurant does. Like when Mama's Pizza opened, they did all this. When the Chipotle and all those businesses were open, they paid for this stuff themselves. Now they are asking you guys and the school district and the community college and the water board to fund their renovations. This is like, I don't know how this is on consent item. No other city does Mills Acts like this. And, you know, this is just, they're taking advantage of the city of South Pasadena. That's it for this public comment.
Thank you.
Are the other two related?
Josh, do you want to give us your comments on 9 and 10? Well,
Nope, I want your vote on this, then 9 and then 10.
Yeah, that's fine. Does anybody have does anybody on council need a presentation or have any comments? Is there a motion on this item?
You know, I'll move the item, and because it's a beautiful historic building, I hope we preserve it. I move this item.
Any seconds?
Second.
Discussion? Could you please call the roll?
Councilmember Ferguson?
No.
Councilmember Primmett?
Yes.
Councilmember Caccioti?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Rossi?
Yes.
Mayor Braun?
Yes. Okay, item number 9. I think, Michael, you also had,
Let Josh speak.
okay, so let's go with public comment. So Josh, if you unmute Josh, let's hear his public comment on this.
This is another blatant abuse of the Mills Act. I mean, you guys didn't do anything to renters because you claimed that you didn't have any money. Now you're going to give a tax break to one of the richest people in South Pasadena. This home sold in July of 2023, immediately after they applied for a Mills Act. Very common theme. This home is currently worth $5 million on Redfin. Now, if you were buying a $4 million home, mortgage is $25,000 a month, $300,000 a year. You have to make over $1 million a year in order to afford this property. When I purchased my home, it was an old property. I had to pay for a lot of things to fix it up. I had to pay for retrofitting the foundation. I had to pay for a new air conditioning. But this rich person, $1 million a year, they are asking you to pay for it. Now, and they're asking for you guys to have a new HVAC system. This is and you're forcing the school district to pay for this too. Now, how much is this guy asking for? He is asking for $356,000 in tax breaks over 10 years. $15,000, I think it's $15,000 a year from the city, $9,000 a year from the city, $20,000 from the school district per year for 10 years so that he could replace his glass, get modern fixtures, have a brand new fireplace. We're going to pay $48,000 so that he could paint his home, get a new furnace. I mean, I had to pay for my own furnace here. How come we're paying for his? $65,000 for draining system. This guy wants a brand new plumbing system. Now, the Mills Act is supposed to be about stuff like the Rialto Theater. Oh, yes, this is a great public benefit. Let's restore this building. No, this is being used so that this person can flip their home at our expenses, at the school district's expenses, and at the water board's expenses. I mean, new sliding glass door for $15,000? Retrofit? Is this historic preservation? Is this a public benefit for the city of South Pasadena? That's what the Mills Act is supposed to be, a public benefit. This is on a street that almost no one walks by. You can't see the back of the house. Literally, there's some realtor out there saying, hey, buy this rich home, and then we're going to put in a Mills Act, and South Pasadena is going to give you $350,000 of tax breaks that would have gone to them so that you could get whatever you want in your home. So, I mean, I just hope if you guys approve this one, like you just approved that one, that when I come with the Mills Act for all the repairs on my home, you do the exact same thing and pay for the repairs on my home, and anybody else who comes to you guys and say, hey, I have an old home, I need to do stuff, let's make the city of South Pasadena pay for it.
Okay, do you have questions?
Thank you, Josh. I think we might have one more on Zoom. No?
No.
Okay.
So I actually do have some questions. Who would I?
Okay, I think this is,
Ms. Erica?
who's presenting this item, or who has a present? Michael Donovan? Is this-
So I wanted to make some clarifications. What homes qualify for the Mills Act in South Pasadena? Or what properties, I should say?
Hi, good evening. So Michael Donovan, Associate Planner. So for the limitations on eligibility for Mills Act properties, they are landmarks, contributing properties of local historic districts, properties listed on the National Register, properties listed on the California Register, and properties that the Commission, with concurrence of the City Council, may identify as appropriate for a Mills Act contract.
What criteria do they use? So I understand state, national are pretty high hurdles and landmark designations. But I guess the questions around the properties contributing to historic districts and then properties contributing to, there's another item you said, that the commission had said that qualifies.
Correct.
Okay, what's the distinction there? So I guess one of the questions is how many homes do we have that are in that Mills Act category and universe? And then wanting to have an understanding of how many are those state, national landmark registries versus what are the ones that are basically because they're in a district. I'm not sure if you guys have the answer tonight, but like this home here, is this one that it's because it's in a district, or is it that it's a state, national, or landmark?
So for item number 12, the eligibility for this one is listed on the California Register.
So this is item 9.
9.
Sorry, I misspoke. Yeah, for item number 9, it's this one's listed on the California Register.
Okay. And then do you know what item number 8 was just I think that one is a national, or is it?
For number 8?
Yes.
Sorry.
Sorry to ask you backwards, but.
Yes, it is.
So that's a national.
Correct.
And then, can I ask you about the next one, or I'll stay?
Wait till the next.
I'll wait. I'll wait till the next one. So, I mean, I understand the criticism coming, but I think when you have the landmark, state, and federal, national, those are pretty high bars to get through, and they're supposed to be, really are supposed to be working towards keeping the property looking up to where it should be and actually restoring it. And I think a number of the things, it's not just replacing it with a new door, it was replacing a sliding door, which was the wrong look, and bringing it back to something that's more historically accurate. So a lot of the issues on here are appropriate for a city that, does, along with trees, also likes to, prides itself on some of its historic landmarks, and these are state, national, and landmark designations. I mean, I think we have, a couple of really fascinating homes in this community, including, which president was it?
Garfield.
President Garfield's.
And a vice president too in one of these homes.
Right, and then I think it was like the former Catholic Archdiocese. I mean, so we have some really fascinating buildings within the city that I think a lot of people do value as wanting to see maintained in our community from a historic perspective. So I understand the criticism, and especially, wanting to make sure that we are, being super tight on what they are putting into their contracts and being super tight on making sure they're doing the work that they're supposed to be doing. I think we had some trouble with that, but since Todd and Erica came in, like that's been whipped into shape now, and I think we've got a plan to make sure that they're on plans and getting checked in every year to make sure they're doing the work that they're supposed to be doing. So I guess a future conversation that we can have is looking at the homes that aren't in those categories to reduce the number of homes that are qualified. Because like I have 120-year-old home that's not in the Mills Act, because even though it's a historic home, it's not in a neighborhood like that. So I can understand the concern about fairness. But I think the ones that are deemed truly historic homes, it's expensive. It's really expensive to fix up homes, especially if you're trying to do it. And we passed on Mills Act home because we didn't want to deal with all of the rules and extra expenses that come from actually having to make sure that the changes that you're making are in line with the state and national rules.
Yep. And I just wanted to kind of say, and I also live in a house built in 1912, and I'm not a Mills Act, and it is very expensive, and I understand it sort of looks like we're giving some big benefits here, but it's this is state law, right? Mills Act is part of state law. The other thing I do want to say is, although, and I know our public speaker talked about the $300,000 of taxes, but the staff report, and thank you for the staff report, does point out that the city, it's not insignificant, but to the city, it's a $9,000 a year tax cost because we don't get all of the property tax. So this is $9,000 that we're not getting. So it's not the $300,000, it's $9,000 a year for 10 years. So, and I understand I understand some of the frustrations, but you could make the same argument about Prop 13, because there's a lot of people who've got a lot of Prop 13 benefits who are paying a lot less for school taxes because if they've got a parent or a grandparent and they got their house and they got a lower tax cost basis. So, state law is what it is, and we're just trying to comply. And Michael, did you have a thought?
I did on this one. I did. I thank you, Madam Mayor. And I think following up with Sheila, I agree 100%. I think when you looked at the state law and was passed, I remember looking at this years ago, the public policy was preservation of historic resources. You know, looking at all three of these, even going back to the last one, the FA building on Mission Street, built 1888 to 1910, the beginning of our city. You talk about South Pasadena, and everybody talks about when you get off the train, you look at our downtown. That's what makes our small town special. That 1 or 2 blocks of Mission West to downtown, that adds value to our city. Each of these houses and improvements adds value to the city. So there's actually a value to us. I'm concerned too. Josh has some great arguments. You know, it seems like a giveaway sometimes. But when you look at a neighborhood, because all of us are paying for a couple $100,000 to renovate, but you want to preserve the neighborhoods. And these people are making the effort. And I think it was, I'm not sure if it's Pete Cuts or whatever the company was, it's a great investment. So, but I have a question, and this is, I'll support this, but there's something that's got to be changed, because over the 20-some years on the council, I've seen where great staff now, when Todd came in, I've asked you, and you supported, to look at this. Because over the years, we'd have staff look at it 5 years, and John remembers, new staff would come in, we didn't hear anything for 10 years. And we asked you to look at it. There were several owners, you remember, that weren't keeping up with the agreement. They've got to make, you know, we're giving it $5,000, $10,000, $9,000 off on this, $15,000 off on the last one. The first one's $5,000 off a year, city's losing. You've got to follow that. So I spoke a lot with Todd and then with the city attorney. You look at the contract, this is my concern, and it's happened. So let's see, when I first got into council, 2001, 2005, we approved several of these. They expire after 10 years. They did their 10 years of renovations, but you look, there's a provision, number 2, and thank God Roxanne did a lot of research today. It says, unless a notice of non-renewal is issued, this agreement shall automatically be extended for 1 year for each anniversary date of the agreement, unless otherwise. Non-stop. So a lot of these agreements, they didn't have another 10-year plan, but they just get renewed automatically unless somebody stops them. So that's where Josh is right. We've got to do something in these agreements too, or the fourth, after this. We really should do them here, because this is a lot of money. 9, 5, 15, what's that, 25 or something, $26,000 a year. We're losing, school district losing something similar, that it just doesn't automatically get. So maybe if I can ask Roxanne, when I asked her that question, there's some state law involved too.
There is, and as I explained to Councilmember Cacciati, that state law does provide that every Mills Act contract annually renew after the first initial 10 years, unless notice of non-renewal is given. And there is a provision in our contract in Section 3 with respect to non-renewal, and it references the provision in the state law. But when you look at the provision under state law, the legislative body has to give notice of non-renewal 60 days prior to that 10-year expiration date. And so, and if that's the case, then the owner also has the ability to submit a written protest of the non-renewal notice. So, and just kind of doing some simple math, it looks like for our Mills Act contracts that are coming up, let's say in the 9th year, that, and I spoke to the director today as well, of putting together like a tickler system so that in year 9, we can really look at a 6 to 9 month view, so that way staff can bring an item to the council in that time frame, provide you an update with respect to the work that has been done, and let you know that this will automatically renew unless the council issues a notice of non-renewal. And we do it in enough time so that we give this, you know, the 60-day before the 10 years is up, allow an appropriate time for a protest, and then that, if the council desires, the notice of non-renewal will go into effect at that 10th year, and that contract will terminate. Otherwise, the property owner does have also the ability to non-renew, and they provide notice within 90 days, but that has not historically happened.
So can I understand the renewal process? I mean, I thought the whole deal was they got 10 years to do these renovations as agreed. I don't understand why they just get to keep renewing.
It's part of the law.
It's state law.
Yeah.
So we would, once their renovations are done, I assume we would actually not renew we would send the notice of non-renewal.
I don't think it's ever happened.
I mean, that's what we should be doing.
Right.
Unless they Unless they proposed new.
Unless they need a little bit more time or there was something we could agree to, but okay. And the law requires there to be an automatic renewal?
That is correct. It says shall, not may.
Okay.
And then does our new, like our electronic permitting system, I guess, is there a way for us to keep track of the fact that they're actually hitting the mark every year and when they're out of compliance with the contract that they have with us, so that by the time it comes to year 9, because I mean, I would, as part of a renewal, that's something I'd want to take into consideration if they weren't meeting the deadlines.
Or if they
The
were already
director will
done.
probably say this, but in our plan, our process and also the agreement provides for a check-in every 3 years.
Right. So we do ask for a update every 3 years. In regards to the update that we provided in July, we did mention that we were going to be monitoring and preparing an update to the CHC in April. So we are on track with that in terms of sending out the letters, receiving information. We'll go back to CHC in April. So it is part of our program now in terms of our creating that monitoring system and make sure that we're tracking it to make sure that we bring that forth in case we want to do it non.
And so part of that 3-year check-in is they're providing receipts and documentation that they've actually done the work and paid for the work?
Correct, and it's a progress report as well.
And
So
I
the
just want to say,
summary
and then
with
Michael, you can go, but I just wanted to remind everybody that Erica has been our Director of Community Development for 3 months.
That's so great.
And so she has taken over the Mills Act and really put the processes in place, and and Michael as well. So thank you for doing that. So we're now on top of that, but I just wanted to acknowledge that. And Michael, you, I think, had a comment.
Yeah, and just following up, I'm not sure, and Mari's got a great point. How many of the contracts that have already gone past the 10 years that we currently have that are not renew every anniversary date? We can look at those right now because there's probably.
I think we did it a couple meetings ago.
Yeah, we did it in
No, I know we did it, but we didn't actually look at the ones that are renewing automatically.
Right. So I think those need to be looked at, and so maybe that's a follow-up item with the city city manager.
I alerted that to Erica and to Michael today.
Okay.
And so they're on top of that.
Okay, great. Any more?
Can we have a report back on that sometime and just, or I can just meet with the city attorney,
Yeah,
city
why don't you
manager.
just?
Yeah, I'll meet.
Okay, perfect.
If you like, we can provide a quick update. We do have a little bit of a status update from the July meeting.
Okay.
Yes, hi. So as part of the July meeting update, so we did break it into 3 categories. One of the groups, we had groups that were outside the 10-year contract that were non-compliant, meaning that they hadn't completed all the work that was listed in the original work plan. So of those, there were 4 in that category. And then there were a group of contracts that were in partial compliance, meaning that they were within the 10-year contract, but still were ongoing with the work that was outlined in the work plan. So still within the 10-year term. And for those, we had 16. So some of those are approaching the 10-year term. And then the last group was, these are contracts that have just completed all the work that was listed in the work plan, but are still active contracts because no notices of non-renewal have been issued, and they have the rolling renewal term.
How many are in that group?
So in that group, there is only 3.
In the first group, you said 4 were outside the 10-year, they hadn't complied. So are they automatically getting the tax benefit every year?
Correct.
They shouldn't be.
But I think, Michael, that Erica and Michael have been working with them and contacting them. And I know it's not agendized, but I think it's somewhat related, so.
But let me ask you this, on this contract, so let's say they're outside that 10-year period, they're not complying, but they're still getting the benefit of the tax break. What do we get in compensation for all the taxes we lost where they're not doing anything?
Well, so that's the question, probably it looks in the contract. Are they defaulted on the contract? I mean,
They're not, because there's an automatic renewal in the contract that's consistent with state law. And so what we need to do, and we'll work, and I know that Erica is on top of this as well, is to bring back an item of those contracts that have already expired past the 10-year mark, and then some of the other categories as well, so that the council can make a decision with respect to non-renewal before their anniversary date.
So
And I think those all are on different
So I would
tracks.
ask if the city manager could sort of oversee that process and kind of bring that back to the council when appropriate.
I think I'd also like to ask to make sure we know what kind of Mills Act properties are they, if they're national, state, landmark versus an historic district
Yep.
as well.
Okay, great. Any further discussion, or is there a motion?
I'll move approval of this item.
Second.
Okay, second. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Ferguson,
No.
Councilmember Primmett,
Yes.
Councilmember Caccioti,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Rossi,
Yes.
Mayor Braun.
Yes. Okay, item 10, we do have a public comment. Do we have, is there one on Zoom, or is there any others?
Just one.
Okay. Josh, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, go
So,
ahead.
just so we're clear, property taxes, the city gets 25%. The school district gets 50%. The county and everybody else gets 25%. So, Patchy always talk about, oh, this is just going to cost the city $33,000 a year. In this specific case, this one, $15,000 a year. You guys are costing the school district $66,000 a year. SPEF as a whole donates $700,000 a year to the school district. So you are costing the school district 10% of what SPEF raises as a whole for the school district. Now, you'd think the school district and the water board should have a say in this too. This house is a $5 million home. The person has to make $1.3 million to afford this home. And we are deciding to give him a tax break of $60,000 a year, $30,000 from the school district, $15,000 from you guys, $15,000 from other people, so that they could do what everybody else would do when they bought their home the first time. Now, just like every other one, if you look at this list, if you read the list of what they're asking for, like a lot of these things they're not for the public good. They're not the exterior of the building to make it look historic. They are so that a super rich person could flip their own home and have something super nice for themselves. And $600,000 that our community is going to be paying for this rich person to do this. It's just outrageous. And, you guys say, oh, it doesn't cost the city much. You guys turned down a rental registry because you said $17,000 was too much. You turned down rent control because you said a one-time fee of $100,000 to set up was too much. But you're willing to give someone who has $1.3 million a year, probably a net worth of $5 million. These are the people who get great tax breaks in South Pasadena so they can flip their homes. And you're forcing the school district to do twice as much of a tax break as you guys are. Now, I know 4 of the 5 of you don't have children in the school district. Amari, I know that your kids will eventually. Our school district is having major problems. You guys talk about how the school district is the community. People move here for the school districts. The school district is having major budgetary issues. They're thinking of having to fire someone. They're freezing the number of people they're hiring. And you guys are making it worse. So, I think it's pretty outrageous, and I think this is why we need to have different people on the city council who are more representative of the city as a whole, so we don't have these kinds of tax breaks for the richest people in the city at the expense of our school district.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other public comments?
No, Madam Mayor.
Any discussion?
Move approval of this item.
I would just like to also clarify this one. I think the numbers that were cited by the public commenter they're not consistent with what's in the report. And, I just want to make sure that we're comfortable with these numbers, and also that these Mills Act contracts, we're not granting people, we're following state law. And I just want to make that clear.
Yeah, and I would just like to say, this is not an absolute open-ended rubber stamp every time. The city's property tax base continues to grow. It grows very healthy every year. And so that means revenues are growing for both the city and the school district. So if that were to ever change, obviously we'd put everything on the table. But at this point, I think we're in a position to really balance the preservation. That's one of our policy goals, as well as making sure that we're being fiscally prudent. So I'm supporting this.
Thank you. Any other comments? And Michael, did you make the motion already?
Yes.
Okay, is there a second? I'll second. Could you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Ferguson,
No.
Councilmember Primmett,
Yes.
Councilmember Caccioti,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Rossi,
Yes.
Mayor Braun.
Yes. Okay, and then we have one more item from consent, which is item 13, which is about management benefits for our division fire chief, and I understand that our Assistant City Manager, Nick Kimball, is going to be presenting this item. Who pulled this? I've forgotten. Oh, Josh did. Okay. Let's take your public comment first. And do we have any other public comments on this?
No, Madam Mayor.
Okay.
I got to remove my cap for this one. I believe by my count, this is the 13th time that Todd has brought an adjustment to our staffing and to our compensation. And I've been faithful as far as I can be to pull every one of them to recognize this. And I appreciate right now your 5-0 vote on this. Not since the Joyce administration have we seen someone care about our employees. And the scandals we've been through for the last 20 years, they must be mentioned, have damaged our employee base the most. And anybody in our community that needs a mirror to look at themselves about this topic, I'll buy it. Search your soul, council members in the past, for what you did to our employees. Now, Todd, at the WISPA meeting, he said, employees are my emphasis and infrastructure. 13 times he's come to you, and he's doing that with employees. He's created boundaries. He's brought people like Nick Kimball here. Yeah, you. And this young gentleman who was helping Erica. Wow. Look at what we got now. These employees are entitled to something. And that's a word I don't like, entitlement. They're entitled to the quiet enjoyment of their jobs. So they can succeed, and we succeed. And we have someone in charge of that now who's doing it. Thank you, new council, for correcting 20 years of bad history that went into the ground, into a black hole, under what was called leadership of Armanet, the personal shopper. Recall it with me. The drama that we had over personnel, the people that were hurt, the people that left. I speak for them today in their memory. Look at your mirror. Councils of the past, we're correcting that today. Thank you very much. And I love the boundary and the professionalism that Todd brings to this item and others. He said, we don't have the horsepower to do that. Isn't that great? He's straight with you. We can't do these things. He's realistic. Hey, as long as we're getting in recognition, Mark, thank you, Mark Perez. If there's a party for you, then I wear lampshades at parties.
Thank you. Is there anyone needs a presentation, or do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve this.
Okay. And did you, was that a second?
Second.
Second by Michael? Okay, could you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Ferguson?
Yes.
Councilmember Primmett?
Yes.
Councilmember Caccioti?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Rossi?
Yes.
Mayor Braun?
Yes. I think that brings us to item 15, if I'm counting right. This is consideration to approve the permanent local housing allocation pilot rental assistance program guidelines. Senior Management Analyst Eduardo Lizarraga will present the item.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Eduardo Lizarraga, Senior Management Analyst with the Housing Division. Tonight, staff is requesting City Council consideration and approval of guidelines for a pilot rental assistance program to be funded by permanent local housing allocation dollars, also known as PLHA. To provide some background, PLHA funding was created through State Senate Bill 2 in 2017, which established an ongoing statewide funding source for affordable housing. South Pasadena's portion of these funds is administered by the Los Angeles County Development Authority, or LACTA. For the current funding year, South Pasadena's allocation of PLHA funds totals $53,352. In June, the City Council approved partnering with LACTA to use those funds to assist income-eligible residents, renters actually, with a program to help prevent homelessness and promote housing stability. Since then, staff prioritized developing a program that would provide rental assistance with supportive case management, which are both eligible uses of PLHA funds. Staff recommends allocating 86% of the available funds, or about $46,000 for direct rental assistance, and 14%, or about $7,300 for supportive case management. The program would provide participants with 6 months of rental assistance covering 40% of total monthly rent, paid directly to landlords on behalf of eligible tenants. Meanwhile, the case management portion would help connect participants to supportive services, things like financial counseling, employment assistance, and public benefits to help them maintain housing stability. To qualify, renter households would have to live in a legal rental unit within the city, have income at or below 30% of the area median income, and demonstrate a verifiable economic hardship such as job loss, reduced hours, or medical expenses. The assistance would apply to future rent only, not to past due balances. I mentioned that the income limit is set at 30% of area median income, or AMI. As shown here, the income cap varies by household size. For example, a single-person household can earn up to $31,850 per year to qualify for assistance, and the income limits go up for larger households. We did review census data to estimate how many South Pasadena households might qualify. Using the 3-person income limit of $40,950 as a benchmark, we found that roughly 1,200 households could potentially fall below that threshold. However, this estimate is based on 2023 census data for all households in South Pasadena, not just renters. So the actual demand will become clearer once the application process opens. Based on current average rent levels in South Pasadena, which range from about $1,800 to $2,700 per month, the program is expected to assist roughly 6 to 10 households for at least 6 months. The guidelines propose that applications be processed on a first-come, first-served basis. However, this can be adjusted at council's direction, for example, to prioritize certain populations, such as seniors or families with children. To reach eligible households, at a minimum, the city plans to post program information on the city's website and social media, distribute printed materials in public spaces, and partner with community and faith-based organizations to help spread the word. The city will explore additional outreach opportunities as they become available. After tonight's discussion and feedback, the next step would be to bring back a budget amendment and a reimbursement agreement to set up the accounting for program expenditures. In the meantime, we'll be building partnerships with outside agencies for the supportive services component, as well as finalizing program forms and flyers. Once those pieces are in place, we would launch the pilot application period, and throughout the process, staff will track key metrics and can report back to council on progress, potentially at the midpoint of the pilot program. So to conclude, staff's recommendation is for council to consider and approve the proposed guidelines for the PLHA Pilot Rental Assistance Program included as attachment number 1 in your packet, and it authorized staff to implement the program in accordance with the approved guidelines. Thank you, and we're happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you. Do we have questions for staff?
Just very briefly, you said average rents are 1,800 to 27. That's
Yes.
What is that? If an average is usually one figure, so we're talking about different size units?
Oh, yeah, sorry for to clarify, it's basically, we looked at last month's rent averages on 5 different online platforms, and so they ranged from between those numbers, basically. So the average, there's let's just say there's 5 averages. That the lowest was 1,800. The highest was 27.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
So the average of the average would be?
Somewhere in the middle of that
Okay,
number, yeah.
and what size units are we talking about?
all sizes. That's the data set.
Is it part of the program that we could decide what unit size, what kind of family size we could target?
Yeah, potentially, yeah, we could, that's our discretion.
Okay, thank you.
So the one concern I'd have with that is that we have, for instance, I've actually been working with a family that's in a former Caltrans home that was sold to Via Esperanza. And so their house, their average size is larger, but they definitely hit the income qualifications actually even lower. So I think that's where some people might live in a larger unit that's not in less great shape, or they're living in some sort of thing that was actually supposed to be subsidized and be helpful, but Via Esperanza has some issues. So I would be concerned about doing it based off of unit size versus actually off of income and need and, where it is on the.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Fair point.
Is that, yeah.
Any other questions for staff before we take public comment and then have discussion? Questions or no? Discussion.
Because I keep, you've heard this from me a million times, is my Measure A complaint. So just how we think of future funding sources and, lobbying efforts for that. My Measure A complaint is that we will be receiving $80,000 a year for Measure A, whereas our neighbor San Marino, which has half the population, will be receiving $120,000 a year, because the way they did the calculation was they said that San Marino has more people, so this is metrics, right? So they have more people living in a household together, but they also have, houses that are 10 times the size. And they have less than 1% population of renters versus our 53%. So I think things I'd love to see from as we go down these efforts, that we're really making our case as a city and making it very clear as to why we actually need the funding for these things, and not allowing these funding things to happen. So as we look to, I think it's a great pilot program. I'd like to see it grow.
And this is not Measure A money, right?
This isn't Measure A money.
This is not Measure A money. But your point being other kinds of resources that are out there.
Right. I think it's just we need to be on top of the metrics, because clearly that metric, there was a huge flaw in the metric.
Which wasn't set by our city. It was set by the county.
I know, but I think that's why we need to start being more proactive on the metric piece of this.
Yeah. Omar, did you have a question?
No.
No. Okay. Okay, so let's see if there's any public comment.
Yes, I have one hand raised on Zoom.
Okay. And,
Josh Alpingson.
okay, Josh, are you there?
You won't be mad at me at this one. So there's countless examples of programs across Los Angeles and Southern California set up where they have way too many rules and they just fail to accomplish anything they want to do, because they make sure that no one who would be eligible actually ends up in the program. And I think there's a lot of rules in this program that is going to make it so that hardly anybody actually applies for this program. I know someone who barely qualifies, but there are some things like having to demonstrate a recent problem that caused you to lose income. Like my person happens to have someone in their family that are having to pay a lot of medical expenses, but there's a lot of people in South Pasadena that just don't have the money. And I think a lot of these rules should be relaxed from the start, because you'll find that you won't find anybody, or you're spending so much money trying to find people that would actually take up the cost of one of the rent people that you could help. So my suggestion is either you lessen it right now, or you put in circuit breakers right now saying that, hey, if we don't have 2 applications at 6 months, it automatically goes to low income instead of extremely low income. Or, if someone after 6 months, if someone hits most of the things, but they don't qualify for one, we automatically accept them. Because I think you're going to have significant problems finding people in South Pasadena to qualify with the restrictions you have listed in the program. That's all.
Thank you. And Eric, I saw you get up, so I didn't know if you had a response to that particular.
I do, but I can wait for a discussion if you like, if it's more appropriate.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to mention that a lot of our criteria is set by the granting agency, so that is why we didn't highlight it as an option for council to consider. It is a pilot program, so the good thing about that is that we can bring it back and we can report on in terms of its success. If council feels that it doesn't hit a benchmark that they would like to see it at, we can repurpose the money. It does require public hearing, but there is an avenue to do that. So I just wanted to offer that information.
Yeah, so it seems to me that if we are complying with the provisions of the program, but maybe it is something to just monitor. And if you think that we don't have anybody in 3 months, we consider what we can do.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Is there any discussion on this item?
I guess I just want to just state that I support this. My question is kind of to John's question, since we're in discussion. Do we ever want to reconsider the rental registry as we start talking about these programs? If we're having questions about what the average rent is or what our rates of eviction are, if we're rolling out this type of program, does having a registry help us in getting like the data to be able to monitor this more closely over time?
So I think just my perspective is that rental registry does not really relate to this program. I think this was just kind of money we were getting, and we're running this program through the guidelines of this particular program. That's just my thoughts.
Okay.
Any other discussion? And again, I do want to say, I think I'd like my own perspective is let's not overthink this. I think it is a pilot program. I think you've done a great job on this, so thank you for this. I just think we need to see how it goes. We're not going to know until we have a little bit of experience under our belt. So I don't want to overanalyze it too much. Any other comments? Otherwise, I'd make a motion to approve this item.
Second.
Would you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Ferguson?
Yes.
Councilmember Primet?
Yes.
Councilmember Caccioti?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Rossi?
Yes.
Mayor Braun?
Yes. Okay, thank you. Okay, let's move on to item 16. We are considering the police department's military equipment use report for June 2024 to September 2025. And Andy Dubois will present this item. Sergeant Andy Dubois will present this item.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the council. As you heard, my name's Andrew. I'm one of the sergeants for your police department, and I'll be presenting this year's military equipment use report. This report is a summary of the department's interaction with designated military equipment, including acquisitions, usage, training, and fiscal impacts. As a law enforcement agency operating under the public's trust, we take pride in offering an in-depth look at how we use this equipment. This slide deck is intended to provide a clear and comprehensive review for the council and for the public we serve. Now let's walk through each of the components of the report to understand how your police department uses our military equipment. At the heart of the South Pasadena Police Department's operations lies a strong mission, that is to foster a safer community through exceptional service, community partnerships, and the professional and equitable application of the law. Each of our decisions is filtered through a set of core values: accountability, integrity, respect and equality, and transparency. We endeavor to embed each of these values in our everyday work. When we align our mission statement and our core values, we work to ensure our community receives not only effective policing services, but also an inclusive approach to public safety. Enacted to ensure public oversight, Assembly Bill 481 requires all law enforcement agencies in California to document and justify the use and acquisition of equipment deemed military in nature. We meet the requirements of the statute by securing approval from the City Council and submitting annual reports about usage, complaints, policy adherence, training, and costs. Assembly Bill 481 was passed in 2021 and implemented in 2022. AB 41 prohibits the funding, acquisition, and use of such equipment without council approval and ensures we maintain the trust of the community we serve through ongoing dialogue with the public. And while the term military equipment might sound alarming to the public, it's important that we clarify what this designation entails under AB 41. Some of the items listed in the bill include less lethal launchers, precision rifles, diversionary devices, and patrol rifles. The tools listed as military equipment that the department does possess are not intended for militarization, but rather to enhance response capabilities in high-risk situations, thereby improving public safety and officer safety. The South Pasadena Police Department maintains a strategic inventory of equipment categorized under AB 41 as military. This includes 40 millimeter less lethal launchers and related projectiles for less lethal impact or chemical deployments. The department also maintains an inventory of noise flash diversionary devices, which are commonly referred to as flashbangs. The inventory also includes 4 long-range precision rifles and ammunition for both training and operational readiness. Importantly, none of the equipment has been acquired through military surplus programs. All purchases have been made through law enforcement vendors, and they were all purchased before AB 41 went into effect. The department issues each officer a patrol rifle. Patrol rifles have been part of the standard equipment for our officers since 2005, and they remain aligned with industry best practices for response to high-risk events, thinking back to the 1997 North Hollywood shootout, the Columbine school shooting, and the countless other subsequent acts of violence that law enforcement responds to. Preceding all those events, we can look at the first school shooting in Los Angeles County, which occurred on May 6, 1940, here in South Pasadena. In that case, the junior high school principal, Verlin Spencer, shot 7 people, killing 4 of them. For the reporting period, there were no field uses of our military equipment by the police department. There were no uses of the 40 millimeter launchers or their munitions, no use of the precision rifles, the patrol rifles, or the noise flash diversionary devices. The only use we did have was for training on the 40 millimeters, and that's to ensure officer readiness and familiarity with the platform. And for this training, officers use specified training projectiles in a controlled environment. This year's report also highlights that there were no formal complaints, incidents, or officer-involved shootings that occurred in relation to the use of military equipment, because we didn't use them. The public is empowered to submit feedback, complaints, or concerns through various accessible channels, including by phone, email, and by the Postal Service. Each of these avenues of reporting is outlined in the report and on the department's website. We encourage continuous community dialogue through these contact methods, helping us strengthen public trust and ensure transparency, meeting both community expectations and these legal obligations. And because we didn't deploy and use the equipment, we're happy to report there were no violations of policy related to them as well. And while the department continues to maintain a small inventory of military equipment, I'd like to again point out all of this was purchased before 2022 with the implementation of AB 41. And for this year, we recorded a total cost of $1,681.13, and that was for training rounds to train the officers on the 40 millimeter. Those funds are included in our department's equipment budget. Let's see if I can back up one. There we go. Ongoing training is essential for the safety and professionalism of our officers, and we prioritize internal training, ensuring that our staff remain proficient with the equipment listed in AB 41, and to reduce the cost of sending officers outside of the area to receive that training. The $1,681.13 was spent on consumable 40 millimeter training rounds that are reloadable and reusable up to 250 times. Looking ahead, we will need to purchase 50 new exact impact, less lethal foam projectiles, which will replace the existing inventory that has or will exceed the 5-year warranty period. That existing inventory we will roll over into our training for next year, and that will extend the life cycle of that 250-shot training kit. And with that, I skipped that slide, but now if there's any questions, I will do my best to try to answer them.
Thank you. Are there questions for our sergeant?
I have questions. Sorry. I just keep, I'm that person. So I have a quick question. I was looking between this report and the previous reports. Did we not file one for last year for 2023, 2024?
That I don't know.
Okay.
I can answer that. We
Yes.
did not.
Okay.
And so we're catching up on the report. However, there was no changes from when we first adopted it to now.
Okay, so when I looked at the 2022-23 report, I noticed a discrepancy on the inventory list, and it was for the patrol rifles, the Colt M4 Commando 5.56 patrol rifles, and the 4,000 rounds of ammunition. So I just wasn't sure if that was something that had just been left off of that 2022-23 report, if it had been purchased previously, or if it was purchased last year.
I don't know if you know, Sergeant?
So what's the question?
So
I'm
in
not
this,
sure.
in
I don't
this
have the
report, in this
22
report on page 8 for summary and quantity of military equipment, items 9 and 10, there's a discrepancy between that report, and and I have the printout of a previous one, where it's about 30, it's the 39 M4 Commando 5.56 patrol rifles. So I wasn't sure if the patrol rifles were purchased sometime before this and they were omitted off of the previous reports.
Yes, I understand. So yes, the previous reports I don't think included that. I don't think they were aware they were supposed to be included.
Okay.
But they were all, our first purchase of patrol rifles was back in 2005.
Okay.
And then there was a second one within a couple years of that. So they were long before AB 41.
Okay. So I think, my next question is, what I guess what I'd like to see in here is really the acquisition dates, the price per acquisition, the lifespan of the equipment, because that's actually what the cost accounting piece that this bill is supposed to be trying to get us to, so that we have an understanding of what's our spend and what's our future spend, so that we can start budgeting for it properly. And then, I know that the line in this in this report says that, training costs are just part of the general fund. But I think that puts us out of compliance, actually, with the law on this, because what they're trying to get to is having an understanding of what percentage of our costs are related to the training around military use and whatnot.
Okay.
So, my challenge with this is just it's actually in compliance, because also like the storage, like if there's a cost to that, I don't know if there is a cost to that, but to make sure that we're in compliance with the law and our own ordinance.
And so this report is really the first step in a 3-step process.
Okay.
And so this is for your information to get your feedback, and tonight your feedback was great. So we'll work with the police department to ensure that the policy itself meets all the criteria with respect to what's in the state law. The
Okay.
next step under the legislation is that there be a public informational meeting.
Okay.
And that's going to happen on October 13th at the Public Safety Commission. And then after they provide their feedback, then we come back to the council in November. And in November, we present to you again the policy, and certainly we'll look at that and see what revisions that need to be made for your approval in terms of essentially renewing the ordinance that was previously adopted.
Okay.
So there is plenty of time for us to make the adjustments that you have called out.
Great, and I think, part of it is from the finance perspective, we didn't necessarily have the systems in place for some of that accounting, but it's the kind of what we need to start working on, having a little bit of that accounting system in.
Okay. Any other questions for
Yeah.
Sergeant Dubois? Yes.
My question is in regard to the 13th having happened, the Public Safety Commission, was there any feedback from the Public Safety Commission regarding this item?
I think because we didn't have a quorum that day, they took it as an informational gathering period.
Okay.
I think they were going to have another meeting.
We're going to have
later
to
on.
have another meeting, so I wasn't aware of that, so.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think that my other question had to do with the acquisition prices for these 17 items, so I think that Councilmember Rossi or Mayor Pro Tem Rossi kind of touched that already.
And just to let you know, in the 2022-23 one, there are acquisition prices for most of those items, so you don't have to start from scratch on it. So they actually had the acquisition for a lot of the past equipment.
Any other questions? If not, are there public comments?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I have 2 in person.
2 in-person comments? Okay. I have the other Josh, followed by Yvonne LaRose. So I'll welcome the other Josh up to the podium.
As for the topical matter, I want our guys to have the best equipment possible. It makes them feel good. They're cops. And they need what they need. I don't care if it's military or not. Well done. And I'm going to go back to this employee thing. This sergeant right here, if he came to your house or gave you a moving violation, you'd be happy about it. He's a professional. Thank you, sir. I haven't had the pleasure yet. It's a great addition. I'm just so proud of this council and what you've done in creating an employee base. It's everything to me. And it's affecting your policy, the 5 of you up there. And I'm proud of you all. And if Greg Lloyd, if he started a lecture service, and he was selling tickets for it, I'd buy it. I'd travel to follow you on your lecture circuit. We've got good people here. Todd, I almost got a smile from you. Thank you. No, I'm sincere when I talk about these things. I really am. Like the other Josh was saying, you may not like what I've said, but I've never been wrong. That's my job to you, and it's a pleasure to serve.
Thank you. And next up, Yvonne LaRose.
Josh, you're too tall. You're too tall.
No one's ever said that.
I did. Anyway, Sergeant Dubois, I have some questions and I have some concerns. In the first part of the equipment that you were listing, my ears tuned up a little bit with regard to equipment that is intended to, I don't remember the exact wording, but something with regard to quelling disturbances, the use of, and I started hearing echoes of the federal policies, and I'm wondering
So you
how those.
can't ask, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to tell you, you can't ask Sergeant Dubois the questions, but you can pose the question and we could maybe get you some clarification.
Okay, yeah, and because when we're enumerating equipment, oh, God bless me. There are some terms that are used in the federal realm that camouflage the actual use. And I'd like to get clarification on how that equipment is going to be used. I'm already involved in conversations with our police department with regard to equity, respect, and I think there was one other element in the report. And I used to say that there's been a 95% improvement in the police department's work since 2021. That rating, in my estimation, has dropped to 80%. And I'm concerned about that. Those conversations are private at this point, and I look forward to having more discussions in order to get more clarity and future-looking projections about, that's the same thing, about what we will be doing to restore our status to 90%, 95% improvement. So I hope we can get a few of those answers tonight. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Are any more comments?
No, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Do we have any discussion? And is this something we need to approve formally?
No, as I said, this is the first step, so it's provided for your information, and then we will hold that, it's a public meeting, invite the public to participate and to provide any comments that they have on the policy, and then we'll bring it back probably either the first or second meeting in November.
Okay, and I think our public speaker could probably stay afterwards and get some things and talk to our fantastic police officers here.
As per that discussion, one thing that I would like to talk about is that I know that a lot of this stuff, my understanding is a lot of this equipment is part of what is required for us to be able to provide mutual aid when called upon. Am I correct in that understanding?
Yes, these really specifically to the 40 millimeter being available for use in crowd control situations or other. I'm trying to think if there's any other agencies around here that aren't already equipped that way, but I can't think of any. It enhances our capability and broadens our ability to respond to the various situations that are out there, not just crowd control. It's kind of like the one-off.
Yeah, my understanding is that there's certain pieces of, like, we're signed up to be partners with other agencies. Mm-hmm. And in providing that partnership, there's certain equipment that we need to have when we show up to provide that mutual aid that we've agreed to. And so just something just like something that identifies when we're dealing with that type of equipment, if we can communicate that to the public, that might be helpful, I think.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yeah, no, they're tools that we need.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
And sometimes it's not necessarily for use within our city
In
per
South
se.
Pasadena, right. And I think the fact that nothing's been used other than training in the last year is sort of indicative of that.
Right.
So, okay. Anything else? No? Thank you so much, Sergeant Dubois, for that great report.
Thank you,
And thank you for your service. Okay, let's moving on. So exciting. 18, let's move on to council member communications. Michael, I wanted you to go first.
Great. Mayor, we got some pictures here.
Terrific.
Very quick. Been around town, in our neighboring cities. This on the left is the Moon Festival. John Primuth was MC. On the left is former Mayor Bob Joe. There's Yuki Kuchin, Sasha Perez, school board members, myself, and on the right, John's up there with Katie. What's the lady, Jennifer from somebody in Fong's office, John? I forget her name. Jennifer Kwan?
Jennifer Tang.
Okay. And ourselves next. This was one of our bike buses. I want to thank the police for all coming out. Shannon, you guys organized a great job with Corporal Borello and Officer De La Torre. And we had probably, you see there, like 25, 30 kids and parents. And we were escorted by Corporal Borello on the bike and Officer De La Torre with a Tesla vehicle back there. Kids had a wonderful time. We had when we turned the corner on Milan and Oxley, there was a little dirt. When adult and family fell down, a little scrape, but they were okay, continued on. But great job by the police department. Next. As I was walking home that day, I saw Katrina and staff walking along Fair Oaks doing some work. So staff's always out there during the day. On the right, I want to thank Deputy Chief Merrill, who's here tonight, and the whole police department. Friday before I went to my AQMD meeting, I was out in the park probably 6:30 a.m. and found 3 unhoused gentlemen, or could have been a woman, not sure, 2 I saw a gentleman, sleeping under the gazebo. They weren't bothering anybody and didn't look, So later in the day, I gave a call and said there's several there, and actually the one who usually sleeps there was by the youth house because he got moved out, and asked the police chief that night to go in and just remind him of our policy and offer services and help if they need it. They went in there were a couple late that night or early in the morning. They were offered services, they declined, and they were removed from the park. So great job, Chief, for offering that compassionate enforcement. Next. And this was a Saturday. It was called, the mayor and vice mayor of Tasmani Acosta on the right, the vice mayor of South El Monte. I'm not sure if you recognize that gentleman on the left that's speaking at an event in South El Monte. He's changed a lot over the years, but that's a gubernatorial candidate. That's the former mayor of Los Angeles and Assembly Speaker, Antonio Villaraigosa. So he spoke in South El Monte. There was several mayors from the San Gabriel Valley. Looks different, doesn't he? Yeah, it doesn't look like Villaraigosa. Changed, lost a little weight, got in shape. But he spoke for about half an hour. And, he kept looking at me because when he was there a council member, he represented the northeast part of Los Angeles, right adjacent with us. We had to go meet with him a couple times. One of the council members got under his skin, so we had to go meet with him to calm things down. And he also dealt with us at AQMD. So he made some comments. He said, hey, and he looked at me and said, I remember to let those people in South Pass know that I'm running. I could use their support, but just very interesting to be there. And that right here in our backyard, one of the has a shot at the governorship. Next. On the left, that was some of the crowd out there. You were Ghost in the middle. I was way in the back, somewhere hiding. On the right is the some of the public works. Julian, you have a lot of great stuff. They're working at Mill Road right there. They're in all of our districts doing some great work. And that today, the contractor was kind of blocking the street a little bit. It was garbage day. Talking about cars, this was the construction equipment. Got an email off to Julian and tenants, Todd and staff. And within minutes, I went out there and I saw a South Pass car down there talking to the contractor. The contractor moved stuff around so people could get back. Now Athens could get back to get the garbage. So great work, Julian and staff. And Tanny, you guys are wonderful. Thanks for just immediate reactions. Next. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Sheila, do you have something?
Actually, most of the stuff starts tomorrow, all of the things happening. Why don't you just say something for community services? Community development department. We had a public, I can't get the names right. We had a planning commission meeting last night. I went out with some of the people afterwards, and they just said how thrilled they've been with Erica, with our new community development director, and how hard everybody's working. We have a lot of major projects underway, Sid the Cat opening up. This was the Giddy Ostrich. There's a lot of excitement around those projects. And so, one, thank you for all of the work they've done just in the few months and the changes they've made. Everyone's really noticing and saying how much they want to support the community development team and you, Erica. But I also want to say on the other piece, which is as we do this, and we've spoken about an interdisciplinary team with Chief Lloyd, and we never introduced our new public works director, right?
You're stealing my thunder.
Oh, sorry, I won't. So a new public works director, will rename nameless, to do an interdisciplinary team around really looking at the different processes, because it's been a long time since our city did a lot of development, a lot of work, and now we've got all the normal housing stuff on top of the new housing stuff and on top of all the businesses opening up. So trying to make sure that we're getting those processes cleaned up to reduce wait times for permits for people, because I was actually speaking to the mother of one of the applicants last night and said, every week that it takes for permits is, especially for small businesses, it's money coming out of their savings account. And she started tearing up and crying because it's really true. Like, it's every week that's delays for them is money that they're losing out of their savings. So I want to make sure that we really are supporting those businesses and just figuring out how to be the model city for it, So I think that's pretty much it. We're at Cal Cities, but there's more to unload there. But I'll leave it for tonight. Thank you.
Omari?
I don't have much to communicate at this time. was brought to my attention that this was the 100th council meeting that Mark Perez has been doing.
Oh, yay, Mark. All right, here's where'd Devon go?
So sorry to embarrass anyone, but, that's probably more meetings than we will do as council members if on a 4-year term, so there's something to be said for that. So thank you for your continued efforts. I hope I didn't steal any thunder, but I'm going to, all right, that's it for me.
John? And I just want to remind everybody and thank you to Chief Lloyd for his help in that one of our Girl Scouts, Allison Yam, is helping organize with the fire department's help and Chief Lloyd's help the emergency preparedness event this Saturday from 11 to 3. It will be at the fire station, and so you could kind of go there and get a little emergency prep and then head over to the art walk. Just walk around town. So that's all I have. And next up is the city manager comments.
So I did want to take a moment to introduce Julian Lee, who just joined us as our new Public Works Director. And Julian brings with him about 25 to 30 years of Public Works engineering experience. And just in his time on the job, he's jumped right in on the customer service side. Also already working with Erica and me to kind of iron out some challenging development issues in the last day or two. So I'm very excited to have him on board. So thank you.
Yay, welcome. Yay. Do you want to come up and say give us a little background?
Honorable Mayor, member of the council, staff, again, it's an honor to be the Public Works Director for wonderful city of South Pasadena. It's my second go around, so I know how dedicated and passionate this community is, and I'll try my best to fulfill that commitment. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We're so excited you're here, so welcome. Okay, I will now adjourn the regular city council meeting to Wednesday, November 5th, 2025 at 7 p.m. It's now 9:20 p.m. Thank you all and have a great evening.